going to paint a Iyanden Eldar, and they are bright yellow, and they have a couple of blue details and a couple of red details, and that's about it. It's a really striking color because it's one of those mostly bright yellows. So we did a technique on the blog and on the YouTube that's called the easiest yellow, and we could do that here, but because that video already exists, we're gonna use a different method here instead of that one. But feel free to change it if you're doing like a whole army to the fastest yellow if that's something you like more. But let's get our guy on a little handle and let's get started. And you'll notice our dude here is already primed in purple, and that's very light purple. You could do dark pink if you will. This one here is Genestealer purple, and it's all, you know, pretty solid. And what we're gonna do here is we're gonna take our Flash Gets Yellow, which is the super bright yellow, and then we're just gonna layer this on, and very delicately we're gonna add and build our color of Flash Gets Yellow until we have this super rich yellow in there, using the purple base. And that's gonna be our starting point. But again, we've covered, you know, different ways to do this, including ways that don't need an airbrush to get a vibrant yellow. So they exist, they're out there. You can check them out. But this technique, if you have an airbrush and a little if you have an airbrush, this is pretty straightforward. Like you're not gonna struggle too much with this because this is pretty foolproof. You just have to be patient. Ooh, all right, perfect. So we get that yellow going. It's working. So now we're gonna go from the top and we're gonna build our color very slowly. We're not gonna pay that much attention to the helmet because it's not gonna stay. It's not gonna stay yellow. So now feel free here. This is the fun part of, like, you get a lot of control out of this shade because we're not like slamming it down like there's no tomorrow. We're building it up. So if it's still too bright for you, just let it dry and then add another coat, and then you can do that like as many times as you want. And the reason that we're using Cassandra yellow instead of like Seraphim Sepia is that Seraphim Sepia is really dull, right? Like Sepia is definitely not like a bright yellow. It's sort of a brownish color, and we don't want to put that on there because that would tone it down way too much. We'd lose that pretty, like, vibrant color that's really the main thing. Like, the important thing about this model is that it's a vibrant yellow, not like a you know, like a bulldozer yellow. But well, if you're playing match play, they need to be the same faction anyway in your army. You cannot mix. So that's part of the answer. But you should probably do them similar, but add very little differences in between them. That way they're both kind of unique, but they have the same scheme. One way you can do that is alternating color and cloak placement. So if you have like one black little robe and then a brown cloak or whatever, or, you know, black cloak and a white one, or different details, different like markings, if you will. Like Eldars have like a lot of freehand stuff that you can do. So you have a lot of room for this. So now this is pretty good here. I'm tempted to leave it like this and just maybe come back with a highlight. So we're not gonna use our airbrush. We're gonna clean it right now. I'm gonna dump this yellow here because we're gonna mix in some white and then just go to town with it on edge highlighting, because that's something we don't do a lot. Well, we do it, but we haven't done it a lot on the other models. So now this is a good. I think they call it a teachable moment. Let's use that. So just make sure this guy's kind of a somewhat cleaned. Perfect. So this guy is somewhat clean. Perfect. That's just... And now we get to, so we need one more color than this, and it is white. So let's so now You can leave this here to dry and stuff, but for the most part, because we want like super light, it should already be dry, so we don't need that much waiting. Also, watching paint dry is boring. So if you're doing multiple models, you can be sure the first one is going to be dry once you get to this stage. And you should do different models, because this is really a good army method, right? It's not like a showcase, your one Eldar Guardian showcase. That's not what it's about. This is about painting a full. So we're just adding a couple here. Again, I'm never doing all of the edges. That's, first of all, way too long, and second of all, it's not that pretty. So this is really a case of like, you should pick your battles here. The rule of thumb is like, every area that has like a super dark shade next to it, just add an edge highlight next to it. That's kind of the key. So it goes yellow, white, orange, yellow, and then so on. That's kind of the best look that you can get. That's like the next level painting, kind of the secret way, is highlighting right next to black. Or in the case of a super bright model like this, you don't get black, but you get the darker color. This white spot behind me is really bothering me for some reason. I mean, it's bothering me because it's there, but it's there for some reason that I don't quite understand. Because it wasn't there the previous streams, and I changed literally nothing. And so again, this is another place of like, this is all fun, and now we're just painting one Guardian, right? But if you have like a whole army and you're doing like 80 of them, adding like so many edge highlights is like, it's a really long process. So you have to, again, sort of pick your battle, or decide if that's really what you want to go, because like these little 6-point guys, or whatever, however many points they are now, that's a lot of loving for something. If you do like 80 of them, like I did, let me tell you that they're simpler, much simpler. Now let's work on that blue, and we're gonna start with contour, and then now because we have this like this super light base coat, it's probably gonna be a 2-coater right here. That's right. So contour blue. So now we do the helmet here. Now we have to be very careful, because we don't want to touch up that yellow. I love the Eldar because they're like super bright. I like it. I think it's always like a super nice army, especially if you can combine it with some other colors. I like the bright colors. It's rare that I do bright colors, but looks clutch. So they did these little details on the bottom as well. So we're gonna just mimic that picture that I got, because I think it looks nice. And right, you know, if you don't like it, or if it's not like canon or whatever, just don't do it, you know. Just some jack off with a camera. You know. So you can place these colors where you want, but I like as little blue as possible, or not really as little, but you have to be kind of strategic about what you do with it, because it needs to be an accent color, not like a secondary color. Like, it's not an half and half split. Blue is definitely there to just like showcase the yellow, basically. And then oh yeah, the squad marking. So the picture I had, the guy had like a stripe on his little like backpack. So we're just gonna try to do that. So when you're doing stripes, never do them in one straight line. Okay, so if you do this side, don't continue going around. You do one side, and then you do this little 3D piece, and then you turn it here, and then we do the front of that piece. And now when we turn it for this long little line here, now we know exactly where to start and where to end. So it connects. That's kind of the little trap that people fall into. So we got just this little one line here. Perfect. Not a big deal. That's okay because the gun is a very important part here of the overall look. So this guy so far not taking us too long. So now the gun here, the picture that I got is kind of black. Oh well, we have to highlight this. What are we doing? So a couple of areas. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna use Calidor. We're gonna give it like a rough highlight, and then we're gonna shade this thing with Null Oil just to keep that dark blue color going. Because I really dig the dark blue versus having like another super light color. Just gonna highlight it. And again, this is not like you don't need to blend it perfectly because the Null Oil is kind of gonna take care of a little bit of the blending for us. It's gonna smooth that transition a little bit. But like Calidor Sky and Cantor Blue are really like they're a great match. What is going on here? What's the something on my like palette that's like soaked or whatever. Just building it up, and then the top should be like super light, right? Because it's the. We're not gonna highlight or maybe just a little bit, not too much. So now. Our little guys, and then you can do shoulder plate. I've seen you know shoulder plates in blue as well on this scheme. So you know it works. It works. You can do that if you want to. We could almost leave it as is, but what we're gonna do is instead we're gonna do the gun, and then we're gonna highlight the gun, and then we're gonna do black on both of these things because the blue and the black we want to shade with Null Oil. So. Skip ahead a little bit here. So now this little symbol here on the gun, I want to keep yellow. So I'm gonna be careful again, very careful around everything. Oh no, it moved. Oh no, stupid handle. I think we salvaged it. If you're quick enough and your paint is 10. Sometimes you're able to save it. It's not perfect, but it's you know good enough. Maybe we'll touch it up later. Keeps moving. This is weird. It's the like it shakes on the. I don't know if you guys can see like it moves just a little bit, but just this, just enough to make you fuck up, right? And we don't like that. But no, I think it's. I don't think it's this one specific. I think they're all doing that. Maybe I should get like the Garfie's Get a Grip systems and start getting those. Because they're not like spring based. They're rubber band based. So that might be easier. I don't know. Pretty easy. I mean, you pick whatever black you like. I like the Iron Painter because as you can see, it covers like nobody's business. But pretty much like all the black on top of yellow, I mean, shouldn't be a problem. Like if you have a problem with black on top of yellow, change the paint brand that you're using because like it won't. Life won't get easier, you know. So I'm using a smaller brush than I'm used to, but just because I really don't want to put any on the yellow. So we're just gonna add just a couple of highlights. Because remember, our plan is to wash the black with Null Oil right after, so we don't care that it's very steep because it's all gonna be brought back to black by the Null Oil later. So I like this little like easy scheme a lot because for one model, it's you know you look at it and you go, it's okay, but you have to think that you're gonna be doing these like at least like probably 20 of them at every single time. So getting 20 of these guys in this scheme, I mean you're banging. This is a nice little scheme. You don't need much more than that. What's pretty is not that one dude, it's when we have like 20 fully painted ones. So oh, by the way, Parabellum, and I'm gonna be living your dream, and I'm gonna be playing a Dreadnought-centric army in tournaments, So hopefully they do better for me than they did for you in the past. But I will be attempting to live the dream. Now granted, it's not an all Dreadnought army, but it's a mostly the Dreadnought army. There are 3 on my approximate of 20 models. Alright, so now we got this, and as you can, so now, again, this is very, very, like, steep, but that's okay, because our goal is to shade it. So we are fine with the steepness of all this, and we're gonna use this, Null Oil. So we're gonna add it to the pile here, because I'm trying to keep a track of, like, all the colors that we're using. I think it's a nice little addition, and then if it doesn't work, we'll never do it again. Start on black, and then again, especially with the shade, it's very important to not let it like bleed into the other colors, if you will, because especially the black one next to the yellow, like that's a very potent. We have hit this area here of how much red is too much red, because now this color here is very interesting. But there's a lot of areas that we can do in red, so we have to kind of choose which gems should be red and which should stay yellow, right? So for example, there's the big soulstone, but there's also these little ones here, right here. So do we do those in red as well? And then that eye is really wonky. We're gonna have to fix it, right? It's not looking so great. Maybe we just do it glowy. We'll just thin that down a little bit. So now it doesn't look like anything really, but once we add the detail inside the eyes, it's gonna look a lot better, like so. So I think just one little gem, maybe one in the back, just to, again, I'm tempted to just go super minimal. You can do as many as you like. I think the less we add, the more power it's got, because especially on things like tanks and the big war walkers, there's just like a big chunky one somewhere, so that's like cool enough, you know. So next up is Evil Suns, and Evil Suns is a great highlight color for all this. So let's start with the eyes here. So we're gonna, but again, I think they both look, they would both look really nice. There's not a big I think you have to go for a dark. If you have a bright models like this, you have to go for a darker base than a lighter one, just because like something like this here would not work, right? Like a super light, because then it's all in your face, and that's already pretty much freaking in your face, right? So but still, hey, this guy here, under 40 minutes to do. And now we can just add, and under 40 minutes to do like this, and we could have done like 9 of his little friends on the platform, and it wouldn't have been that much more time consuming. Like this. And here I go, throwing it off. And now look at this guy here. Come on. And now we got our fancy little Eldar. So again, if you're watching, you can check out the other way to do yellow, like the easiest yellow ever. It would work fine for this, but in my mind, this is a pretty freaking vibrant yellow. Didn't take us that many colors at all. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 total. 12 total, sorry. And then bases. So Iyanden in the bag, and I think we nailed that one. What do you guys think?